Testing, testing. Can you guys hear me out there? Gonna wait for the go ahead to make sure you can hear me before I get started. Yes, you can. Okay. Let's do this thing. Okay, couple things here. Get out of my way. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining out there. This is the CET Designer User Conference Speaker Series. We are on episode 4 of 7, so we're halfway through this thing. And thanks so much for joining. This has been super fun on my end. I was just talking to Osa over in Sweden. She's our marketing manager, and she's like, hey, those have been going well. I'm like, yeah, they've been so much fun. I have no idea what I'm going to do after this for the live stream, but we'll keep going with this format. And thanks again for joining out there. So let's just get right into it. You guys know the drill here. We're going to have a fabulous guest joining us. It's Austin Taylor this week, and he's going to tell us all about his presentation at the user conference. We have some prizes to give away, and then a few other little things to talk about as well. So let's get rolling with one of the things we're all here for. I know there's a couple things that we cover in this live stream. So let's get rolling with the fun stuff here, which is this week's prize. So you guys know we've been giving out prizes every week that we have this speaker series. And what you need to do in order to win the prize, which is some fabulous Configura swag, what you need to do to win that is just like and comment during this live stream. So you have about a half hour to do that. Just at some point, like the video and comment, and then you will win the gift, which this week is, this one's a big one, so I have to bring it over here. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Danielle Herka's in the room with me, so when you have any questions or comments, she will flag me down, so definitely feel free to participate in this thing, and we will, of course, see all those comments and things. Okay, so the prize this week, I'm smashing it down so you can't see it before I'm ready to display. So, as you guys know, we are trying to give you summer-themed gifts, and this is a perfect one that you could use during Labor Day weekend if you are viewing from the U.S. You guys know we have a holiday coming up on Monday, and if you didn't know, now you know. We have a holiday coming up on Monday, Labor Day, so this would be a perfect thing to use for that. Unfortunately, it probably won't get to you on time for this weekend, but what it is a cooler. So this is going to take up the whole view here. Of course, branded with the Configura swag, but we have some nice little pockets for storing all of your goodies. Of course, a handle. And this baby can fit a 6-pack of pop or juice. It doesn't have to be alcohol, although it is 5 o'clock somewhere, right? I'm just going to show you it. So, of course, kind of that, like whatever that cooler material is on the inside. And then a 6-pack. This is pop. Ta-da! So that and tons of ice can fit, but of course you can use it for whatever. You don't need me to tell you what to use a cooler for. So if you would like this Configura swag prize, again, just like and comment on the live stream and you will win it. And if I don't have your address yet, then message the CET Designer Facebook page with your shipping address so we know where to send it to. But that's all you have to do. And of course, the extra prize, if you do attend all 7 of the episodes, which there are some people in the running for this, so I love that. But if you are still able to attend all 7 episodes, you get an extra t-shirt at the end, which is a really cool one. I'm not sporting it today, but it's a nice t-shirt. So you'll get that in addition if you do attend all 7 of the sessions. And again, there's some people in the running for that still. And don't forget, it's going to come in this fabulous, sparkly envelope. Okay, comments. Hi, Melissa, our first speaker series presenter that joined us. Hey, Chad, glad you could be here. Hi, Christina, thanks for joining. Yes, oh my God, you're so right. I was like, I know it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 o'clock in Sweden. So this cooler would be perfect for that time frame. but it would be great for whenever. So hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. If you know anybody that could use one of these fabulous coolers, just share this post, tell them to jump on. Again, you just have to like and comment, and you get it. And it shows up to your door in this fabulous sparkly package, and it's super exciting. I hope when you see the sparkly package arrive at your office or at your door, you're like, yes, the Configura swag is here. Okay, so that's that. Let's keep moving with our agenda for today. So we're here to talk about the user conference and everything that goes along with the CET Designer User and Developer Conference. There's the developer part in there too, which is also a great portion of the conference. Let me just switch my view here for a second. So the user conference, it's October 17th and 18th. It's in Grand Rapids, Michigan. If you've already signed up for it and you are booking your travel, just remember it's 2 full days this year. So you don't want to book your travel for the second day afternoon, otherwise you'll miss a whole section of breakout sessions. So it's 2 full days this year. Don't forget when you're booking your travel. Pricing for that is $575 right now. And as you will see, that is going to be over pretty soon here. Let me make sure I get the date correct. Yes, September 13th. So that regular bird pricing is coming up as far as being over soon, and then you'll have to go to the late bird pricing, which is no fun. So get yourself signed up now so you can take advantage of that regular bird pricing, which is $575. Yes, that is correct. I didn't want to say the wrong price there. So $575, that will get you to the conference, and then of course book your travel so that you can attend the 2 full days of the conference, October 17th and 18th. Now, when you do book or register for the conference, you get added to a user conference briefcase. And in that briefcase, there's important information that we share. And that's also a place where you can ask questions if you have any. Like I know a couple weeks ago we had the question, what's the weather going to be like? And what do I need to wear? So those are fabulous questions to post in the briefcase. But don't forget to check that. So if you do register for the conference, go out and check that user conference briefcase just so that you stay up to date with all the information about the conference. Couple other things about the conference. So there are social events that go along with the user conference, and these social events actually start the evening prior to the start of the conference. So they'll be the evening of October 16th. And there are tons of welcome events that you can choose from, but you do need to register for a welcome event. So if you have signed up for the conference, which if you haven't already, get on it. But if you have already signed up and you still need to sign up for a welcome event, definitely make sure that you do that. I'll show you guys how to do that right now. Let me just switch my screen here. You're going to lose the video portion, but you'll still be able to hear me out there. Okay, so if you want to register for the conference, if you want to sign up for welcome events, or if you want to submit awards, which we'll talk about in a second, you just have to go to configura.com, so the configura.com website, and what I like to do is just scroll down. There's this CET Designer User and Developer Conference little banner here, and just choose Event Details. And this is where you can buy tickets, so this is where you can register. But if you do need to register, if you've already registered for the conference and you need to sign up for a welcome event, just go to the About tab at the top there. And then you'll get all this great information about the conference, including welcome event information, and you can click that welcome event button and sign up for welcome events there. So if you have registered for the conference, make sure you come sign up for the welcome event. And I'm talking to a few of you out there because I know there's people that have signed up for the conference and they haven't registered for a welcome event. So go do that to hold your spot, because some of these events have limits in the amount of people that we can have attending. So make sure you do that. Now, let's talk about awards as well. So during the user conference, we have a CET Designer Awards competition. And submissions for these started a while ago, so you could have been submitting your awards for quite a while at this point. But our deadline for submission is coming up. It's September 7th. That's next week. So you have a smaller portion of time now to get your awards submitted, but there's all sorts of categories that you can submit awards to. Just pay attention to that deadline. So that is September 7th that you need to get your award submitted. So if you are planning to submit to awards, you just come out to this awards section, choose awards, and then there's going to be some award information here. Again, the deadline is coming up September 7th at 1700, that's 5 p.m. Eastern time, I believe. So you have end of the day, September 7th, or end of the working day, September 7th, to get those awards submitted. And there are prizes for the winners of each of these awards. And again, you can actually submit an award to each category. So if you have a couple things that you've done, feel free to submit to different areas.
A couple people, Janice Jarvis says hi.
Hi, Janice.
Austin Taylor says hi.
Oh, hey, hey, Austin. We'll be talking here in just a second.
I think it's Aditya says happy to join here from India.
India, awesome. Thank you for tuning in.
Tracy says yay swag.
Hey, Tracy. Yeah,
And
Configura
there's a lot of
swag.
people. Chad says murder mystery.
Oh, Chad, I'm excited for that one. I actually have to pick the welcome event that I want to attend, so actually I need to do that too. I need to actually practice what I'm preaching here.
Osa says workout.
Osa, yes, I am so excited for that workout class, and there are people signing up for it too. I was a little skeptical, like, are people going to want to work out? But I think once you've been sitting all day, it's nice, or traveling all day, it's nice to get your sweat on. So that one's been a popular one.
And Shauna says looking forward to it and the beer tour.
Yay, Shauna. I'm glad you're going to be joining us. That beer tour is a lot of fun. There's tons of great beers in Grand Rapids, tons of breweries, and that beer tour is a lot of fun. So yeah, thanks for commenting, everyone, and glad to see that we're excited about the welcome events. Okay, so yeah, awards. You can submit an award to each of these different categories. When you find the category that you want to submit to, you just select it, and then the prizes are going to be listed there. So there are some serious prizes that you can win here, especially like if you're submitting to the success story, there's a massive prize there. And it's always great to submit to a couple different things if you have some good work in different areas. When you do go to the specific section of the award that you want to submit, if you're looking for some inspiration, come down here. So for example, like Chantel Fitzgerald, she's going to be a presenter at the conference this year, and she's actually going to walk you through how she created this rendering. So Chantel is going to be with us, and she will give you the inside scoop of what it took to create this rendering here. So that's actually going to be a fabulous presentation if you want to actually see some real world tips and tricks and what it took to create this wonderful masterpiece here. But if you want some inspiration, you can see those in that section. So in these past live streams, we've talked about a few of these main categories and some tips and tricks from some of these main categories. So the first live stream, we talked about success story. The second one, we talked about movies. The third one, we talked about 360s. Now I want to give you just a few tips for renderings. And it is just going to be a few brief tips here, but the tips that I want to give you with renderings are things that I notice quite a bit and things that you can easily modify and make changes to get a better rendering. And these are very quick, easy changes, and they will just help with the realism of your rendering, because that's what we're looking for, the most photorealistic rendering that we can get. And that's what's going to win these prizes here. So let me go out to CET Designer here and just give you a few tips that I want to point out if you are thinking about submitting a rendering to the awards so you can win some cash. Okay, I'm going to switch my view here for a second, and actually let me switch this first, and then let me make sure everything is pulled up, and it is. Okay. So a couple things in PhotoLab that I want to point out that I think make a big difference in the realistic nature of the rendering, but it's actually really easy to make these modifications and achieve what I'm going for here. So a couple things that I want to point out are in this camera section, and then there's one other feature that I want to point out as well. So in PhotoLab, you have this camera section here, and this is going to modify, if you make any modifications in this section, it's going to modify your view here. So you guys know this big area here is called your preview area. Whatever is showing in this preview area, that's what's going to render. So modifying things in this camera section is going to change your view. And it might not seem like modifying things in the camera section really is a big deal or plays a big role in how nice a rendering looks, but for me, it's actually pretty noticeable when I see settings in the camera section that maybe aren't quite right. It's pretty noticeable in the rendering, and for me, it takes away from that photorealistic quality. So when you are setting up your view, you want to make it look as realistic as possible as far as if you were actually in the space, what would your view be? So what would the elevation of your eye line be at? What would the angle of even your head be at? Would you be looking up? Would you be looking down? How much of the space can you really take in just, looking in a specific direction? So sometimes when I see renderings that have like a really high elevation, you're at like, a 15-foot elevation looking down. I don't think there's any humans out there that are 15 feet tall, at least not any that I know of. So maybe that's not a super realistic camera view, and that takes away from the realism of the rendering. So what I would recommend is you make sure that that elevation is at a typical eye line. This is going to be the elevation of your rendered view. So in my case, my typical eye line would be well below the average because I'm fairly short. But something that I normally like to hit is around 5'3" to 5'6" for your average eye line, and as far as walking through the space at kind of a typical height. So I always keep my elevation around the 5'3", 5'6" mark. Now you also have your pitch. So this would be the angle of your camera, whether the camera is angled down or the camera is angled up. So I like to keep the pitch at a pretty typical angle that your head would be at. If you're walking through a space, especially if you're looking at furniture, your head's going to be tilted down a little bit. Now with pitch, it's kind of interesting because the higher you go in pitch, so the higher you go in number, the lower that you look. Notice how I just switched my pitch to 20 and now I'm looking down. And the lower you go in number, the higher you look. So a 0 pitch would be you're looking straight ahead at that 5'3" elevation. And of course, a negative pitch would have you starting to look up. So I like to keep my pitch between 5 to 9, just as a pretty standard angle that your head would be at. Your head is going to be tilted slightly down, looking at that office furniture, but of course you're not going to be looking down at your feet. You're not even going to be looking straight ahead, really. And of course you're not going to be looking up. So I like to keep my pitch between 5 to 9 just for a pretty typical eye line. And I would go a little bit lower in this case, probably around the 7 that I had it at. So just keeping that elevation and that pitch as far as, where your camera placement is at, just keeping that at a realistic view of how you would see it as you're walking through the space really helps to make that view a little bit more realistic. If I do a view of, something like this where I'm really high and kind of looking down, of course, that's not quite a realistic view that you would see when walking through the space. So just getting that view a little bit more realistic, I think that helps with the photorealism of a rendering for sure. Now, one other thing that I want to point out too is just a feature that you can enable in PhotoLab, and that would be this outline overlay. So we're still in the photograph setup section. We haven't actually done a rendering yet, but still in this photograph setup section, you have this outline overlay. I almost always keep this on because there are some instances when you need it. Sometimes you don't, but it's nice to just have it on so that you can access it in the post-processing section and either use it, or if you realize you don't need it, don't use it. But what the outline overlay is you can kind of think of it as like a contour image that renders. So that black and white render setting is the contour image. You can kind of think of outline overlay as that contour image does render, and it gets overlaid on top of your actual rendering here. And what that allows you to do when that contour image gets overlaid on top, it allows you to modify the thickness and the pressure of your lines in your rendering. So sometimes what you might notice is you do a rendering and some details kind of get lost. like where I have, two tables coming together here, that line through the tables where the two tables merge, that's probably going to get lost. I might lose some definition to here, especially where you have a lot of, bright white areas. You just lose some definition in the rendering. So using this outline overlay will help bring that definition back. I almost think of it as like a way to get a high def look. Now again, if you use this outline overlay and then when you start working in post-processing, if you realize you don't need it, then you just simply turn it off. You don't have to use it, but it's nice to just do it anyways in case you might end up using it. That way you don't have to go back and re-render if you do realize that, yes, I did want to use that outline overlay. So let me show you what that outline overlay looks like. This is not the outline overlay. I have a lot going on here with post-processing. Let me turn a few of these off. There we go. So when you do have a rendering that uses the outline overlay, you will be able to modify the opacity and the line thickness. And again, if you do render with it and you realize you don't want it, just simply uncheck that box in post-processing. But here's a few things to pay attention to in my rendering. So remember, this is two tables coming together here, but notice how I can't actually see that. I don't see that line where the tables are coming together. But notice when I use the outline overlay, that brings that line back because it adds that definition back in. It also adds kind of some definition around my windows here that I could not see as well when I wasn't using the outline overlay. So I like to use that outline overlay quite a bit just to, again, get a little bit more of a high definition view where details don't go missing. And then you can modify the opacity and the line thickness as needed. Okay, so those are a few of the tips and tricks for creating some nice renderings that you can submit to the awards. So don't forget to go out and submit your renderings because the deadline is coming up. You have until September 7th to get all of these things submitted. So don't forget to do that. All right. Any questions before we keep moving out there? Good? Okay. That means that we have made it to our guest for the day. And our guest for the day is Austin Taylor, and he is with Wilson Office Interiors. And I'm really excited about this one. And I know I say that about all the presentations, but they're all super exciting. But I'm really excited about this one because as I was starting to put together maybe topics that we could do for the user conference, one of them that I was interested in was CET Designer from start to finish. Because when I started using CET, I was thinking in my head, am I doing this right? Are there tools that I'm missing in the process of starting a drawing and completing a drawing? And I just wanted somebody to tell me, like, here's what I do. Here's the steps that I take when I get a project. Here's how I start it. And all the way through the end, here's the tools that I use in between. So even if I had an idea, if I was, of how I wanted to tackle a project, I just wanted somebody to tell me, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? And their process. So that's what made me want to put this CET Designer from start to finish topic on the schedule. And the presenter that I thought would be fabulous on this presentation is Austin, and thankfully he was available and willing to do it. I've been in a few trainings with Austin. He is a power user times infinity. So if anybody can tell you the right way to tackle a project from start to finish, it's Austin. And we're gonna give him a call here, and he's gonna tell us all about his experiences with the user conference, and he's also gonna tell us a little bit about his presentation too. So of course, if you have any questions for Austin, definitely type those in the chat and in the comment section, and we'll be sure to pass those along to him. So let's go give Austin a call here. I'm going to start that call, and then we will switch the view. You guys are going to hear some fabulous Skype music coming through here in a second. Okay, I can hear him. Yay.
You can
and
hear
I
me?
can see
Good.
you. Yay. We always do like a technology test before this just because, technology. And we got it working in the end here, and we can hear. It was a
Thank
few calls
goodness.
of Austin and I going back and forth like, no, I can't hear you. Yes, I can hear you. No, I can't hear you. But we're here. So, thanks for joining, Austin. I hope you're having a fabulous day so far. Can I just say your view looks awesome? Like that's real, right? That's not like a
Yes,
photo.
yes, it is real.
That looks awesome, and the weather looks beautiful where you're at.
Yes, it's very nice. Very, very warm though.
Yeah, I've heard there's been like just a heat wave going through the whole country.
Yeah, it's insane.
Awesome. Well, okay, let's start with the question. Tell us about yourself. We want to know everything, all the nitty gritty. whatever you want to share with us, we want to hear about it.
Okay, well, currently I am with Wilson Office Interiors in Dallas. I am a project manager and designer specializing in demountable partitions.
Wow.
My past life was in furniture. I've worked with Steelcase. I've also done some dirt, but the Steelcase is where I got the furniture experience. It's when I first started getting into CET and learning the process. And it's crazy how much it's evolved even since I started working in it 3 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so I've been working in it for about 3 years. Yeah, that's that's me.
No, that's awesome. And okay, so tell us a little bit about how you currently use CET Designer in your role then.
So I am a designer still,
Okay.
but the way that we handle demountable partitions is the designer is also the project manager. So I'm using CET to start a project, take it all the way through installation, and then through Punch for ordering those extra little pieces. So I genuinely do use it from, we might have a bid come in or might have a new client that pops in, wants to see some layouts or some renderings, take it from there through all of the design phase,
Okay.
eventually getting to order, and then making those installation shop drawings, making sure the installers have everything that they need. And then once it's all buttoned up and pretty, if there are outstanding things, using the tools in CET to get the information I need to fix whatever may or may not be wrong.
Okay, that's awesome. I knew I had the right man for the job here. I was like, Austin's going to be perfect at this. Okay, so you've attended the user conference before.
Yes.
Why do you like to attend the UC? And by UC, I mean user conference.
I assumed.
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing, because I went last year when it was in Vegas, and it was a big one. There were tons of people there. I think that you learn so much, even like not only from the breakout sessions, but just talking to people from other dealerships and seeing how they use the program. You can talk to 12 different people and you'll come away with 12 different ways to do things.
For sure.
And that's one of the things I love about CET. It's, okay, maybe I can't do it this way, but let me try something and see if I can figure it out. There's a lot of user power in being able to figure those situations, the kind of one-off weird things. Using the program to figure those out is probably one of my favorite things.
Yeah, and I love your term there, user power. Like, there's so many ways that you can do things in CET Designer, and if you're at a crossroads or a sticking point, you can just kind of think about it for a second and be like, you know what? I can use this tool and get here, and use this tool and get there, and it's kind of like you do this little leapfrog and you eventually get to the point that you need. But I love that term you use, user power. I am keeping that in my vocabulary right now. That's awesome. So what is your biggest takeaway? It sounds like you kind of touched on that a little bit as far as, loving to hear from different people and breakout sessions, but anything to add on to that?
Well, I think you bring back so many tips and tricks. I know that, I don't know if Kate Sword's doing breakout this year, but you learn something different every time you go into a meeting with Kate Sword.
Yes,
so.
absolutely. If there's every nook and cranny in the program, she knows about it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard for her to crunch it all into an hour, but I've heard her speak 3 or 4 times, and I always bring something back on my notebook, like, oh, hey, like I've never tried it this way, and then it's all about efficiency and seeing that shift, and just that's the driver for everything we do, is just becoming more and more efficient. And
Absolutely.
doing something one way might save you like 15 seconds, but when you're doing it all day long, every day, that can really add up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kate is going to be here this year. She's actually going to be covering advanced edit graphics this year. So I'm really excited about that because she's going to have a bunch to talk about there. And
Yes.
edit graphics is always like a hot topic. So I was like, you know what? I bet you Kate has a lot to share with us about that. So
Probably so.
yeah, that would definitely be one you want to attend as well. Okay, what is the most, bestest, awesomest, life-changing thing that you have learned at the CET Designer User Conference?
Oh man, there's so much, honestly. Not just like the little tips and tricks, but it's always fascinating to me to learn kind of where the program started and like how it's been developing. And there's new tools that come out every single year. So watching the live streams, or there might be videos or something online, but hearing someone talk about it that's been using it or helped with like its inception is always really interesting to me. And putting faces to the configurants, especially the help desk people, it's really nice. It's, I've been bugging Jack for a year now. Oh, that's who he is. Hi, it's me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so what are you most excited for then, for this year?
Well, I mean, definitely presenting. It's going to be interesting being on the other side of things, at least for a little bit. But I was doing a little bit of research on the keynote speakers, and it just seems like it's just going to be awesome. I know the keynote speakers last year were amazing too. So it's always really nice to hear their experiences and whether or not they have CET experience. Kind of how they take things is really interesting.
Yeah, those will be some great keynotes too. And we have keynotes day 1 and day 2. So those are going to be some good ones. Okay, now tell us a bit about your presentation there. You're excited for your presentation, so let's hear a little bit about it.
So you touched on it at the beginning a little bit. It's taking a CET project from start to finish. So the way that I think I would like to approach it is, okay, you have a bid, you have a project come in. Do you have all the information? And gathering the information or using workarounds. I have some tips and tricks for... For instance, if you don't have a CAD plane, you just have a PDF, and you don't like that blurry PDF background, I have a way to work around it and fix it.
Okay, I want to know that. I'm going to sit in your session.
Yeah, so I just figured this out a couple of weeks ago, actually. But it's really just going to be really I think it's going to be more tailored towards designers with just those little tips and tricks. Maybe you haven't thought about doing it this way. I'd like to facilitate a conversation of, well, this is how I do it. Have you seen it done differently? How are you guys approaching it? I would like to see if there are more efficient ways. So part of it is going to be that discussion aspect with other designers, but for the most part, it's going to be, well, here's how I've done things. I've been working for 3 years in the program. Making shop drawings, that kind of thing, like just really bringing it from beginning to end. It's going to be really heavy on the front end. Once those shop drawings are made, there's not a lot you need to be doing in CET. But at least the pre-work and the really technical side of things is what I'm going to be focusing on.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love to hear you say that you want to hear what other people are doing because you want to make sure that you're doing it the most efficient way too. And that's how we are in the world of CET Designer. Everybody just wants to be learning from one another, and as efficient as we can be, that's good for everybody. So that's awesome to hear you say that. And it sounds like it's going to be super informative for people, not just the broad, presentation where it's CET from start to finish, but also getting into the nitty gritty, like here's what I've learned that makes you more efficient at this specific step. So that sounds super exciting. I'm seriously going to sit it on yours because I want to know about that PDF and making it less blurry. And if
everyone hates the blurry.
Yeah, I mean, and that's super understandable. So maybe we can also get some feedback and some information that we can submit even on the programming and development side for that too. So awesome. Okay, why do you think people need to attend then?
I think that you'll take away so much. I mean, I came back from the conference last year with so many ideas and little tips that I started implementing that have really made me more efficient. in the program. There are so many different ways to do things. Once you start talking to people, you can kind of weed out like, okay, well, yeah, this works for this person, but
Sure.
you try it and maybe it doesn't work, or maybe there's a tool that you're not utilizing or you may not have even know existed because it's
Right.
hiding in a tab somewhere.
Yep.
But I think that you'll learn so much, especially newer users. Even the older users, but especially newer users, there's so much to take away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, do we have any questions out there for Austin from our people?
Tamara Campbell just said that she is excited for the PDF tip.
Oh, Tamara is also excited for your PDF tip as well. You're going to have a ton of people in there for that tip alone.
Just for that alone,
Just
yeah.
for that alone, and I'm sure you have plenty of other fabulous tips that you can give us as well. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining, Austin, and thank you for sharing just about your presentation and what you're looking forward to for the conference. We are, of course, super excited to have you and can't wait to see you in Grand Rapids coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
Yeah, yes, it is. Now's the time to start working on that presentation.
It's underway. Don't believe it's underway.
Oh, perfect. Yay. All right. Well, have a great rest of your day. We will, of course, be sending you one of the fabulous coolers, so that will be in the mail for you, but we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelsey.
Yep. Bye, Austin.
Bye.
Okay. So I am super excited about that. Let me say that 5 million times more. That one is going to be a fabulous presentation out there. It sounds like not only are we going to get some tips and tricks, which we all love, but just some general information about, the different steps and the different processes and tools that are available to you within the program. So thank you so much for joining, Austin. We really look forward to seeing you in Grand Rapids. And that actually is the content that we have for today. Of course, you can see the upcoming dates that we have here. September 13th being the next one. And September 13th, that is the registration regular bird pricing that is ending on that day. So I will be, or that is ending soon around that time. So I will be really saying like, hey, go sign up for the conference now during that live stream. But that's our next one. So make sure you put it in your calendars and you can tune in so you can win some fabulous Configura swag. And of course, you'll meet another one of our presenters at the user conference. This is your last chance. If you want to get the cooler for the Configura swag this week, make sure you like and comment on the video while we're live here. Anything else before we jump off for the day, Danny? We're good? Okay. Well, thanks so much for joining, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your day and happy Labor Day weekend, or enjoy your Labor Day weekend for my US peeps out there viewing. But we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.